Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm Jessie and this is the Knit Up and Dye podcast, episode 88, Holiday State of Mind. As always, I'm going to start with my thank yous. I have my cheat sheet handy here. I'd like to thank all of my subscribers, both new and ongoing. I love you guys. What you see here is all about you. If you have something that you'd like to see demonstrated or something you'd like me to discuss, reach out to me and I'd love to incorporate that. Hello goes out to Diane, Barbara, Faye, Julie, Janelle, Erica, Adriana, Wayne, Sonia, Patricia, Lisa Lette, Capi, Cath, Benty, Christy, Nietzsche, Charlotte, Chris, Roseanne, Linda, Marie, Eve, David, Donna, Betty Ann, Scott and John, Kate, Janet, and Terry at Unwound, Monica, Bex, Carolyn, Nancy, and Rachel. Much love goes out to my Zoom family, Robert, Roz, Paula, Brian, Jen, Elizabeth, Nicole M, Nicole B, Katie, Shirley, Tracy, and Georgianne. And a warm hello goes out to all of my patrons. You honor me. Thank you. Well, I took a week off and it was much needed and I am in a much better state of mind. I'm more, well, I'm not going to say I'm rested, but we'll get back to that. But my creative mind is more rested and I'm really in a better place than I was. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself to perform. Not only to push my designs, but push my dyeing and push my podcasts. And I had gotten to a point where what was fun was becoming work, and I did not want that. I want to enjoy this. I do enjoy this. I love the time that we share together when we sit down and do this together. And I really had just, whether it was exterior stresses or internal stresses, I'd gotten to a point where I was pushing myself too hard and I wasn't happy. And taking a little bit of time off really set my mind at ease and put me in a better place. So thank you for tolerating this new schedule where I'm going to be taking one weekend a month off for just me and allowing the creative juices to flow. Did I take a full weekend off? Nope. Absolutely not. As soon as I gave myself permission to do nothing, my creative flow just kicked in and I actually ended up knitting a couple of projects start to finish. I was very careful. I did not push my shoulder too far. I am not in pain. That's a good thing. Whether or not that's because of the steroid shot I had that's supposed to last about 6 weeks, I don't know. At one point I had wound up a bunch of yarn and hand cranking does irritate my shoulder and I felt it start to twinge and I just stopped what I was doing and I walked away and it didn't come back and it didn't linger. So I am pacing myself. I'm being a good monkey. But I really, it kicked up all my creativity and it got my juices flowing again. It got me thinking again and got me excited again. And that was the whole point of doing this. So let's kick in. Let's talk about things. This past span of time, I had an acquisition. I bought myself yarn because I don't have any. And, you know, it's a desperate situation when your stock and stash dwindle below twice your life expectancy. So I was sorely tempted. A wonderful dyer, a dyer I regard as a friend, had posted more of her beautiful yarns on Instagram. I am a sucker for yarns on Instagram. I love seeing those pictures. And she was having I think it was a sale. She was extending free shipping, but she had a holiday color that just reached out and grabbed me. I had to have it, and so I bought it. And of course, she packaged it with all kinds of sweet little extras. This is from Tippy Tree Yarns. I love her logo. She's just a class act, start to finish. This is her Tippy Sparkle sock. It is 100 grams, 438 yards of fingering weight, 75% merino, 20% nylon, 5% stellina. We got sparkle, folks, because why not, right? She included a cute little progress keeper. It's It's got a little gem in it. It's so sweet. It sparkles. The yarn sparkles, and she even included a little bit of tea. Yeah, what a sweetheart. I have not touched it. I have not knit with it. I have not sipped my tea yet because I wanted to share with you guys. Yes, I hold out. This colorway is called Deck the Halls. Is that not just Christmas? It just screams to me. It's so pretty. What am I going to do with it? I don't know. I may make myself a pair of Christmas socks. It is, you know, it is Christmas colors. It is sparkly. There's greens and silvers and reds in here. I'm kind of tempted to make myself a cowl with it. So this is where I get weird. We all have our things, right? I love olive and like a deep red together because it allows that red-green combination that is so beautiful. Red and green together are beautiful. This is why we do this. But I don't want to look too Christmassy, and I don't want to create a garment or an accessory that I can only wear 30 days out of the year without looking ridiculous. This is going to knit up in such a way that if I do socks, it's going to spiral and they're going to be just adorable. And how often do people actually see my socks that they're going to go, oh, she's wearing Christmas socks in July. You know what? Fine. That's what I want to do. That's what I'm going to do. But if I make a cowl, we're putting that spotlight way up here, and it really depends on how it knits up. If I can get the magic number to line up, it may not look overly Christmassy and may be very pretty. If I mix this, there's black in here. And if I mix it with a black, I make it kind of a Nightmare Before Christmas kind of a thing, or it may separate more. I don't know. This is one of those cases where swatching would be brilliant. Because it'll help me decide what I really want to do and what will make this sing and make this precious. It is so pretty. I am perfectly content to leave it just sitting in the skein and sitting and admiring it and feeling all Christmassy with just this skein of yarn. But I want to honor it. I want to make it something wonderful, and I'm going to have to explore a little bit to see. And socks would be just darling. I'm really tempted to make myself a pair of Christmas socks, and I could knit those over the days off I have at Christmas time, and that would be a nice little sit in front of the TV, sit in front of the fire, eat cookies, have tea, spend time with my husband kind of activity. So that, it hasn't been ruled out. In other words, I have no plans. But this is Tippy Tree Yarns. This is, again, her Deck the Halls colorway. I selected it on the Stellina. I said, if I'm doing Christmas colors, I'm going all the way bling bling. And I am in love. It's so pretty. Yes. And buy small, please, please. As easy and as tempting as it is to get on Amazon and just order big box items, seriously consider buying from your indie dyers and getting your holiday gifts that way this year, because they're people and they're families and they're not big corporations, and it means the world to them. There's my PSA for the week. What have I been doing? Knitting progress. I might have put a square on my How to Eat an Elephant blanket. I honestly cannot remember. 2 weeks is a big chunk of time for me to be actively of the mind. I think I did, but I don't have it with me, so I can't show you. I'm going to try to get better about that. Now that we're into really cold weather season, I'm likely to start putting more of those on in the evening, because I can drape the blanket over me while I knit a square and be all happy and warm. I did work, however, on my Squircles. I showed you I had one done, and this is the red pair. I finished one, and I started the second one, but I've only gotten so far as to finish the leg. And I'm stopping right here because, as I mentioned in my last episode, I got permission to create a tutorial from the designer. He said, yes, I could do this. because a lot of people were interested in this, and it's not your typical sock pattern. It is a heel flap pattern, but there's a couple little minor twists that he has done to it to change the shaping a little bit so that we get a nice broad span here for those of us with high insteps. And it's clever. It makes wonderful use of self-striping yarns. So I definitely want to develop that tutorial. I got some of my head wrapped around it over the time I took off, where I really just let it wash over me and figure out what I wanted to do. I was thinking very much that I wanted to do it at a different gauge than this so that I could show you how the formula, because it's not a pattern, it's a formula, that fits any stitch count. I want to show you how that works. But I also want to have a real world example. So I'm going to stop this where it is, and I'm going to start it another pair, because I don't have enough socks. I'm going to start another pair at a thicker yarn gauge so that I can show you the math as well, and so that I can be at a couple different points in the pattern for the tutorial and really show you how this develops and how this works. So that tutorial is going to be under development for a little while here while I get things knit up to the proper stages. I will be working on that. I'm excited to do that. I'm really excited to do that because it is such a fantastic pattern. It's a fun pattern, and I love the designer's mind. When I look at his other patterns, I'm just blown away by how he has been able to take a vanilla sock and make it something so much more. And it's exciting to have the opportunity to share that with all of you. What else have I been doing? Well, there's a huge pile of yarn here. I dyed up a ton of minis. I also dyed up a ton of DK minis. These are DK minis. And I have a kit in secret development. If you're one of my patrons, you're probably watching that development happen. Because I'm posting about the entire design process and what I go through when I design something, and ultimately it's going to become a kit. So we have pretty yarns here as a little teaser, so you can start wondering what exactly I'm working on. I have certainly, if you're interested in seeing that information, pop on over, become a patron. For as little as $1, you get access to the exclusive content, and you can see all the special things that I'm working on. And there's going to be a lot more over there in that, where I'm showing my design process and my dye process and how I do what I do. I also decided, because I'm in a holiday state of mind here, that it's gift knitting time of year. I'm not a big gift knitter. There's only a couple people in my life that I knit for, and generally I knit year-round for them, so they get gifts as the year goes on, but they also get gifts that I've knit in April that are ready for them for Christmas. So I'm not under a huge crunch to gift knit right now. However, knitting something for yourself is gift knitting as well, isn't it? I've had a project, not really a project, I've had a accessory in mind for a long time now. I wear all of the shawls that I knit. I wear the hats that I make. I wear the mitts that I make. I obviously wear the socks I make. I'm always talking about my socks. And I coordinate those to wear to work because I'm always cold in my office. I do not understand the people in my office that are always hot. I am forever cold. And it gives me an opportunity to really enjoy my knitting because I get to wear it. However, I have found over years now that there was one color that just never seemed to make it into a finished object that really would work well with my uniform, my work clothes, that I wanted to have. And I've put it off and put it off and put it off because that color's black. Knitting black. Knitting black yarn can be a challenge. It really can. It needs to be done in a well-lit setting. Anybody who has ever tried to knit with black yarn will agree with me that it can become challenging to see stitches and it can become tiresome. It's hard on the eyes. You do want to be really well lit. Most of my knitting time is not well lit opportunities. And as much as the idea of black lace just makes my heart sing, I don't want to be stress knitting right now. I'm going to call it stress knitting. I do not want to knit something right now that requires mass focus. I have a lot of other projects going on and I want an enjoyable knit, but I want to make something for myself. And therefore I've decided to knit myself a cowl out of black yarn using just a knit purl stitch. And it's a design. It's a design. It's coming along beautifully. I'm very excited about it. But it's so simple that I can get away with knitting it in black yarn and have it be beautiful. And have it be something that I'm not making errors on. It's not a huge strain on my eyes because I can simply count. Do 4 of this and 6 of that. And next row, do just this. And I can look at it and readily see the pattern forming in it and know exactly where I am. Be easy to read my knitting. And so I'm working on this project. I'm really excited about it. I don't have it far enough along to really give you a good sense of where it is or what it's going to look like. I'm going to hold it up, but it's not far enough long for you really to see. The yarn is a wool silk blend. It is a Cascade product called, I believe, Venezia. Black yarn, folks. Woo! Very exciting. No, see, this isn't as pretty as, say, Christmas yarn, but it's going to be a great accessory for me for work. And I'm knitting it in the round on a circular needle and just using a very basic stitch pattern. But it's going to change. Like I said, it's not far enough along for you to really see anything. I will be posting pictures of this as it develops. I'm very excited about it. Now, I was falling asleep last night knitting it, so I do need to sit down under a bright light and just give it a quick once over and make sure that what I've done is okay. Isn't that weird? Do you do that? Do you fall asleep knitting? My mother used to talk about falling asleep knitting, and I always thought, how could you possibly? Because I always pay so much attention to what I'm doing and making sure everything is right, and I'm really hyper focused on it, and mainly because I'm usually designing it or I'm following some just absolutely psychotic, intricate pattern. But it never occurred to me that you could relax enough while you're knitting to fall asleep. I think I fell asleep 4 times last night knitting. It became something that was so second mind and so relaxing that I didn't even realize I was doing it. I was sitting with my husband, the wood stove was going, we had TV on, one of his horrible movies that I only watch secondhand, and I was just knitting and relaxing, and the dog was snoring and everything was peaceful and happy, and I would doze off and I would wake up and I'd realize, oh, I finished that row. And I think that's what was waking me, was the idea that I had finished a row and I needed to pay attention to where I was to do the next row. But I quite literally was sleep knitting, and I'm fascinated that my knitting has changed to that degree, that I can have knitting that is very pay attention, and I can have my shoulders in my ears while I'm paying attention to it. Or I can have knitting that can become so second mind that I don't look at it, I don't even realize I'm doing it. It becomes something soothing and like breathing or a heartbeat, and just gives me a biofeedback, a soft texture and a rhythm and a minor sound that can be so lulling and so soothing. If that is not your knitting, keep knitting. Get there. You, through practice, through taking time to knit without looking at your work, your knitting will shift in your mind and become something that is automatic, autonomous, and so comforting and wonderful. And maybe it's about having a project that doesn't have to be perfect, that isn't all lace or pattern. Maybe it's about just accepting that you are in control and that you do know what you're doing, and allowing that automatic drive to kick in. I kind of experience that if I've taken time off from work and I get back to work. We have so many different programs, and I have 30 different passwords and usernames combinations that I have to use, and the phone is ringing and people are coming up to me with questions, and I get so overwhelmed because I'm so busy trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't remember this. I can't remember this software. Where did I find that information? And I've learned to just walk in, sit down, close my eyes, and log in. Because I've got all this muscle memory, and I've got all these second processes that if I just let myself go into auto drive, it's all there. I remember all of it. It all comes back, and it's not a problem. But if I'm panicking or overthinking it, then it goes wrong. And I think the same thing happens with our knitting. So that's the project I'm working on. This is yet to be named. I do have a bunch of other projects out there. I know, Mom, I know. You want, I think I called it coffee bar. The worsted weight shawl, there's a problem. I'm working through it. The barn dance shawl, it's coming. We did have another hiccup. There was an issue where there had been some data loss, and I am working to recover that information. It's the 3-color version of Farmhouse, and I'm actively working to get that pattern out, as well as the secret pattern that's over on Patreon. I'm a busy girl, but I'm loving it, and that's what matters. Dyeing. I did not dye last weekend, and I am not dyeing this weekend. I'm taking another weekend off from dyeing, just because. So here's the life nonsense. I am on day 12 of a migraine. I'm not sure if it's still classified as a migraine or if this is really more like a cluster headache kind of a situation. I'm having a very unique type of migraine. It's called a hypnic migraine. Hypnic migraines are generally not experienced by people under the age of 50. Lucky me, I seem to want to do everything early in my life. Hypnic migraines have a tendency to strike between the hours of 1 and 3 in the morning and wake you up with kind of like an ice pick in the middle of your skull. And although I have been able to fall back asleep once I have this waking event, my sleep has been riddled with nightmares. Good times, folks, good times. And so I haven't gotten really good restful sleep. Because I am kind of chemical sensitive and I have some food allergies and other sorts of things, I'm kind of taking a break away from the dyeing to give my lungs and my body a real chem-free opportunity to get this migraine stuff under control, because we're not entirely sure what's triggering it. If I had to take a wild guess, I would say that it was hormones. I'm at that age. But this is something new. It's something I haven't experienced before. I've had migraines for years, but I've never had migraines quite like this that were so long lasting. In the past, a migraine would last 4 days, and that would be like tragic, horrible, long. This one has been ongoing now for upwards of 2 weeks, and I've been tired. I have been nauseous, I've been cranky, I have been in pain, and I'm doing every remedy in the book, and of course talking to my doctor about it, who agrees that it is entirely too early for me to have this kind of migraine, but that doesn't mean that it's impossible. I've done other things early. I've already had shingles, yay, lucky me. And recurrent shingles at that, so I very much hope that I'm done with that. But I'm experiencing a lot of different things, and I'm really having to be very, very kind with myself to let all these things find their rhythm, let me get used to them, and sort out how and what my coping mechanisms are. For example, my shoulder is now boiled down to tendinitis. Tendinitis can also be caused by not just overuse, but hormones. And so I'm looking at different things, different options for balancing everything, whether it's migraines, tendinitis, all the weirdness that happens at this charming stage of our lives. Getting older is a full-time job, and I already have a full-time job, so I'm learning to balance both of them. So to that end, I'm taking another weekend off of my dying and just giving myself a lot of rest and a break. I have other activities to fill my time with that are equally fun and almost, well, yeah, more exciting. We have the ornament exchange. I have received all of the ornaments. Everybody that is participating has shipped their stuff. Everything is here. I have a big old pile on my desk of boxes and bags and everything that they were shipped in. And my next project is doing the actual exchange and mailing them all back out to you guys. And I am so ridiculously excited about this. It is great for my state of mind because I am just all Christmas, yeah. And that's not to in any way reduce the season of gratitude. Thanksgiving for me is very much about gratitude. It's just kicking everything off for me, and it's making Thanksgiving more special for me. It's making Christmas more special for me, and just really getting my mind set in a very warm and happy place, which is a nice change from the usual stressors that I suffer at this time of year. Like I have told you before, I do customer service to some degree at my real job, and people are under a lot of pressure at this time of year, and I think some of it is financial pressure. I think some of it is social pressure. Certainly people are under time constraints, and people have a tendency not to be their best when they're under those kinds of pressures. And so we take a lot of abuse in the customer service industry, especially around the holidays. And even though my customer service is in healthcare, rather than like I sent the wrong item that you ordered, mine is about people who are scared and in pain, and they have financial demands on them from the expense of their injury. And you add that on to holidays and parties and family obligations and gift giving, and I can see where it is really hard to maintain your best self. And I try very hard to be over the top, understanding and giving to people at this time of year, but boy, it's difficult sometimes. It's hard. So this really has been very good for my mindset because I am seeing the generosity of knitters. I am seeing beautiful objects, and I know that I am sending out boxes of joy to other people, and that just, how can you not feel good about that? How can you not feel good? Very exciting. Speaking of joyful things going out to people, I do want to give you a heads up. It's already gone out. You should have already received the email, but the email might have been confusing to some of you. I gifted to all of my ornament exchange participants and all of my patrons a digital advent calendar. You should have received an email for that. If you are a patron or you are participating in the ornament exchange and you do not know what I'm talking about, please contact me so I can resend the email to you. It may have gone into junk mail, or you may have dismissed it, not recognizing my personal email address, as my account was under my personal email address. But it does very clearly have my name and your name in it and states that it is a gift. What is this? What am I talking about? A perennial favorite in my family is the Jackie Lawson Advent Calendar. It's something that she does online. It works across all platforms. She is a beautiful, beautiful artist. She does lovely painted works that have been digitized. And she has an advent calendar that she offers that is absolutely delightful. She interlaces it with historic cities or the history of Christmas and different traditions. It has little games in it. It has little activities in it. You can design your own snowflakes. You can decorate Christmas trees. You can play this very addictive game where you get to smash glass Christmas ornaments for points. I love that game. It makes this fantastic broken glass sound that somehow is so soothing and wonderful. The entire thing is backed with a really gorgeous selection of holiday music, very traditional. Some of it is choral, some of it is instrumental. Really, really beautiful. If I haven't sold you on it yet, please check it out. She even has a couple of different formats, different options for the advent calendar where you can choose from a couple different options. But as a holiday gift to you guys, I purchased them for you guys and I've sent them out to you. And check your email. I really want you to have the opportunity to enjoy that. What else is going on? I still have the giveaway going on. The drawing for that is going to be on December 2nd, so not next week, the week after. That is a fantastic opportunity. There's a lovely project bag, there's a couple skeins of yarn, there's progress markers and stitch markers. There's all kinds of lovely little things included in that giveaway. To enter, it's as simple as leaving me a comment over on episode 86. So you're going to have to go into YouTube, go back 2 episodes, and just leave me a comment on episode 86 telling me how you found me. For extra entries, you need to tell your friends to subscribe to this podcast and have them go over to episode 86 and tell me that you sent them. That gets you extra entries for every person that says, hey, I was referred by. I'll insert a picture here. It's a delightful prize, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to get that out to the lucky winner. This is open worldwide, please. If you are eyeing that and you haven't gone over and commented, go comment. I'd love to have the opportunity to have you win. What else is going on? I think that's about it. Like I said, I'm doing the ornament exchange. Those are going to mail out. The target mail date is November 26th. I always try to under-promise and over-deliver. What am I saying? I'm saying it's possible they'll go out sooner. We'll see. We'll see. It really depends on how much I can coordinate all the little extras and get postage and everything handled and get to the post office, because it's like madness out there. People are already out there all over the place shopping. It's exciting to see, but generally I'm a hermit and I hide from like the week before Thanksgiving all the way through New Year's. I try to avoid all stores, and I buy online from other indie dyers, and I bake cookies. I try to stay off the roads, and I try to stay out of the stores. Just, it's overwhelming for me. I don't find it fun standing in line behind people who are yelling at people, and there's a better way to celebrate, I'm sure. That is about everything I have for you guys. I think I might make some cookies this afternoon. I'm definitely going to sit down and keep working on my cowl, and we'll be snapping photos of that and showing you guys along the way, and obviously bringing it back to share next time. Are you in a holiday state of mind yet? Let's see what we can do about that. Bye.